listeners, and welcome to another episode of Bones of the Story. And today, Jen and I, well, not today, last night, Jen and I discussed about what topic we'd record today. And we thought it would be interesting to do a check-in on Jen because when we started this, Jen had no history of reading dark romance. So now that it's been 2 years, season 7, how are you feeling, Jen?
I don't know. It's interesting because I never thought I would be a dark romance girly just because I've always been a light and fluffy reader, but I enjoy them quite a bit.
Can you remember some of your thoughts or feelings when you were first thinking about reading and what made you be like, nah, this isn't for me?
I think it was more like I had not problems with it. I struggled with it initially morally. Like, how am I going to read a spicy book with I mean, criminals? And like in a lot of these cases, like really like bad people based on our societal norms. But what these authors do in a lot of cases, not all the cases, is they have these quote unquote villains, but the villain, the MMC, whatever, like is so obsessed with the main female character, if we're talking heteronormative relationships here, or even in like white shoes or reverse harems, like they're obsessed with their girl, and they have very unconventional ways of taking care of her. But in a lot of these books, they are taking her out of a bad situation and taking care of her that way, or they're giving her certain skills so that she can protect and take care of herself. I think what a lot of these dark romance novels do is they feed into the fantasy that I think some women, most women, a lot of readers, whatever. So, what I think what dark romance does differently than your contemporary romance is it takes what we see as love and then it adds in elements of, obsession, possession, stalking in a lot of cases. But the way the authors typically write it, and again, there's always exceptions, especially in dark romance, but it's coming from a place of being so obsessed with her that they can't imagine not being knowing exactly where she is at all times, knowing exactly what she's up to at all times, knowing exactly who she's with at all times, so that they can not only protect her but keep tabs on her. And I think in a world where everything is such instant gratification and there's so little pursuit of romantic relation, like you don't have the you court somebody for so long and they take you out on dates and they pick you up and they like there's just not a lot of that anymore. And I think one of the things that dark romance readers get out of these books is like, do we necessarily want people stalking us? No, but to have someone care about us that way and to be that obsessed with us that they want to know what we're doing and they want to know where we're at and they want to make sure that we're safe and they want to make sure that we have the tools to keep ourselves safe in a lot of instances in these books because they provide bodyguards or they provide training or covert security, whatever. And like, would we want that in real life? Probably not. But I think it feeds into this idea of us being worthy of that pursuit, of us being worthy of that obsession. And like, that's what I get out of it. Is it's a lot of fun to read and particularly with Duet point of views, where you're seeing the inner workings in his mind. Like, he's coming at this from a place of like wanting to keep her safe. Like, Josh from Lights Out is a perfect example. Like, he wants to keep tabs on her. He wants to know what her favorite food is. He wants to know that she's taking care of herself because she's working insane hours at the hospital. He wants to provide her the snacks that'll keep her fueled. He wants to make sure, that that she's eating a good breakfast, or she's whatever. Like, it's yeah, they're stalking them, but they're doing it to take care of them. And I think that's like the kick that we get out of it. Like, is it extreme? Yeah, duh. It's a dark romance novel. But I think there's something to be said for the male characters going out of their way to make their person feel seen, heard, and taken care of. And that's really what most of these novels are about. Like, they go to the darker side. They're, the main male characters are like killing abusive fathers, or taking out an entire other mafia because they've abused their girl. It's gory and dark and heinous in a lot of situations, but the core of it is that they love and are obsessed with her enough that they would burn down the world for her. And there's something to be said for us wanting to have that ourselves.
That was beautifully said, Jen.
I don't know about beautifully said. I think I think you've just royally fucked me up in 2 years.
So do you think that the chitter chatter of other people talking about dark romance before you started reading not only influenced you, but it's incorrect?
Influence me, or do I feel like it's incorrect?
Right. So one of the things that I like to argue about, and I'll use the example of 50 Shades of Grey. People adamantly hated it. It was horrible. They said all these negative things, but they never watched the movie. They never read the book. They just listened to other people talk about it. And then
Yeah.
sometimes people would watch the movie and say the same thing. And I'm like, but you're missing context because you never read the book. So you're just
Yeah.
listening to other people. You are not actually doing the research yourself. Do you feel
Yeah.
that before you came into the genre that there were chitter chatters that, oh, I'm not reading that, even without, doing the research yourself and meeting me?
I definitely like it had the opposite effect. It made me more intrigued, because it was definitely like, I can't believe people like Haunting Adeline, and like, how could you like something like this? How can you get turned on by something like this? This is an atrocity. And I mean, the same conversation with 50 Shades. Like, when 50 Shades came out, I was still pretty entrenched in like my Southern Baptist Christian upbringing. Like, I was just coming out of it. So, and I was obsessed. Like, I loved 50 Shades when it first came out. So I was seeing all the Christian articles of like, you know, it's perpetuating abuse, and it's, blah 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 blah. So I think for me personally, it did the opposite. I was like, well, now I want to know what I'm missing out on. Like, now is it as bad as they say? Is it, like, I've always had this curiosity of things that people say I shouldn't, so like, I wanted to know what it was about. And I remember, because I read Haunting Adeline and Still Beating. I think those are the two dark romance books I read prior to us actually starting. And
Which probably wasn't the best idea because those are rubbish.
yeah, seriously. But like, I started there and I was like, okay, well, I didn't love either of them, but like, I didn't think they were the worst things I've ever read. I didn't think that they didn't hold a great story in for what my ranking looked like at that point. And I was like, I'm really not seeing seeing the problem. And so you start you start there, and then you go a little further. And and I've mentioned it before, like what dark romance novels do really well a lot of the time that contemporary romance just doesn't do the same is like your kinky content, your BDSM content, like pushing the boundaries of like consent. Like you get so much of that, which I find incredibly fun in dark romance, where like you are not going to get a five guy on girl scene where she's chained from the ceiling in a contemporary romance novel. Like it's just not going to happen.
So now that you've been immersed in dark romance, and obviously we have a scale
Yeah.
and such, do you feel that now that you have an idea of, okay, I'm just rambling now. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. Okay, so you're in dark romance. You said you started with Haunting Adeline. With everything that you've read now, do you feel that Haunting Adeline is, and obviously we have the episode, but I'm just using that as an
Yeah.
example. As now that you've gotten
No.
immersed to it, it's not as bad as everybody says it is. Did that question come through?
No.
I know that it was recorded though. It's recording everything. I was going to have to piecemeal this episode together.
Uh,
Now that you've read all of these dark romances, it's not as bad as people assume it is, right? I mean, obviously there are some that are really bad, but
yeah.
so let me get to the point that I'm trying to say. Kind of like how people say that Akatar is spicy, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's because people
Yeah.
haven't been immersed into it yet. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Are you there? I don't know what I'm trying to ask. Just
Okay. I think I can I think I can pick up what you're putting down.
please.
So as far
And then
as
lay it back down for me so I know what I'm trying to lay down.
I so there's definitely like a scale of darkness, and I feel like diving into haunting Adeline isn't so bad. It's hunting Adeline that gets pretty scary and dark, and I don't recommend it for like new dark romance readers, or like I really just don't recommend it really at all, period. I don't think it was great. Still Beating, I think, isn't as dark, because there's a difference between I think it qualifies as a dark romance novel, but there's a difference between a dark romance novel that has dark elements and a dark romance novel that is dark romance. And Still Beating, in my opinion, has a dark romance element. In the first, several chapters, that's pretty much where all your darkness comes from. Like you have the setup, you have them being kidnapped, you have them being forced, and then the rest of the book is simply their story of survival, healing, and eventually reconciliation. But there's like no darkness there. Whereas a book like I feel like we always come back to it, like the dead what is it, dead Tailor soldiers, that one, I don't know, I always get the title wrong. Dead sailors versus tailors, no, dead soldiers versus tailor, whatever. Anyway, that book is dark from start to finish, and you actually get darker as you get closer to the end. Like there's a big difference between Still Beating and, oh my gosh, what is that book called? Tailors. What's that book? You're muted.
Dead soldiers versus tailors.
Yes. What's the first book called?
Addicted to
You remember?
pain?
Addicted to Pain. Yes. Yes, look at you. Okay, so there's a big difference between a dark romance novel that's Still Beating and a dark romance novel that's Addicted to Pain. Like, I think that's one, like, not problem, but if you're entering into dark romance, you don't start with Addicted to Pain. You don't start with a book that's written by Lauren Biel. Like, good God, please don't do that to yourself. So I can't even remember the original question anymore. I feel so bad that you have to edit this. And now you're frozen again. Oh, you're back.
I don't know what I can even get the original question out. So you're fine. I think what you're laying down is essentially that people have to be eased
Oh,
into it. It's not something that you just jump in, and by jumping in and picking the wrong book, it could totally taint your view
oh,
on what dark
100%.
romance is.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I feel like if you were going to tiptoe yourself into dark romance, I highly recommend starting with Lights Out. I feel like Lights Out is a really, really good starting
Audio
point.
only.
Yes. I don't know. I didn't read it. I think it's a great starting point because if you like Josh, you like their banter, you like, the stalking element. She does like a couple very schminky scenes that
Minky.
schminky.
I feel like we have to have another episode where we're doing defining words again because I don't know that one.
Well, it's kinky.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I feel like she does those pretty well. And then if you like Lights Out, then I recommend going to Butcher and Blackbird. And then if you like
Really?
Butcher and
Okay.
Blackbird, I don't know where I would send you from there. Where would you want people
I
to
don't know if you
start
can
on their
hear me
dark
or
romance
not,
journey?
but just keep talking. Oh, I'm back.
Where would
Yay.
you
So Butcher and Blackbird, and then what would you do after Butcher and Blackbird? I like this kind of path that you're creating.
I'm going to hate myself for saying this. And you're going to fall out of your fucking
Wait,
chair.
hold on. I want to make sure that I don't freeze when you tell me this, okay? So go ahead, say it.
I think you should. Oh, God damn it.
Say it.
The Ritual. I have a feeling you knew that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Best
so
episode
irritated.
ever.
I'm so irritated. But listen, there's a reason. There's a reason. I feel like Lights Out gives you, it's almost like a contemporary romance with dark romance elements. It's fun, it's lighthearted, there's a lot of banter. Like, the dark elements are done in such a fun and consensual way that, like, it's hard to call it a true dark romance novel. Butcher and Blackbird, same type of situation, except you have a bit more dark elements, a bit more gore, but still very, very consensual and a lot of fun mixed in. But if you're like, okay, we can back up the fun a little bit, we can add in some darker elements, then yeah, I think going into The Ritual and that series, I say that series lightly because I actually haven't read the next 3 books, but I do plan to because I hate myself. Shut the F up, Misty.
I want listeners to know that after you listen to this episode, go back to season 1 and listen to the episode where we talk about The Ritual. Okay.
It basically any other episode we've recorded because I hate that one. I hate it.
Oh my gosh, Jen, this is fantastic.
But what The Ritual does well,
besides get on your nerves.
Oh my god, I got on my nerves so bad. But what it does well is it introduces you to DubCon. It introduces you to non-con. It introduces you to somnophilia, which happens a lot.
Non-com?
I'm pretty sure when the whole somnophilia scene happened, there was
I'm
no
pretty sure we've
communication
had this discussion
prior to it
before.
happening.
That's going to be interesting to do that. I'm pretty sure
Maybe it was dubious,
Oh, there's 100%
but
Dubcon for sure.
I don't think non-con. I don't remember. It's been too long. I'm gonna go back and listen to our episode now because I'm pretty sure you brought that up, and I'm pretty sure I argued about it.
Probably. Knowing us.
Okay, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
No, it's okay. Does. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Oh lordy.
Have none. Hey, I don't mind being wrong. I just want to know if I'm wrong.
No, you know what I need to do is every time
Ha!
we
Trigger warnings by the author herself. Non-con, Dubcon.
I still would argue that. I'm gonna have to reread that book. That's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to reread it. But I think that every time we talk about the ritual, I said I should update the show notes for the ritual every time we bring it up and argue about it so we know the triggers so that we could just refer back to that
yes.
when we talk about it.
Oh my god, for sure.
Okay. Sorry, go.
No, but unfortunately, the ritual does do all the dark elements well. It's just like for me, it was just very redundant. Like it could have been half the size of the book that it was, and I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But yeah, those would be my stair steps into dark romance. And then if you like the ritual in those books, then I think moving on to some of Mistie's favorite authors would be your next step.
I got a list for you. I got a whole Excel spreadsheet. I'm really curious that you didn't add Sophie Lark's The Sinner's Duet.
Oh my god!
At least the first one, because I didn't like the second one, but
well, yeah. Oh my god, I just forgot.
Yeah. That's why I was surprised you picked Butcher and Blackbird as second and not that one.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. That would probably make a better stair step, honestly. Because like I feel like Lights Out and Butcher and Blackbird, like you have Lights Out and then you have like Butcher and Blackbird, and it's just slightly edgier than Lights Out. And you're totally right. Like The Sinner's Duet by Sophie Lark, the first book. The second book doesn't have nearly like the dark elements that the first book does. But the first book, yeah, you're totally right. That it would be a good step between Lights Out, Butcher and Blackbird, and something like The Ritual.
So what I'm hearing is that Jenn and Mistie are going to start a dark romance reader's guide. That's what I just heard.
Ooh, that does sound fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun. And then we could do it like in the 90s when you got the magazine and it had the quiz and it's like, which route do you go? Y'all listening, we're talking about this now, you're probably not going to see it for another 2 years. Like, don't even.
Seriously.
Like, maybe before that. So, are you happy to have been dragged into the dark side?
Oh yeah, like I've thoroughly enjoyed so many books in the dark romance genre. I can't think of the title, but it just popped into my head. The Mafia one that we read fairly recently. Oh my god.
Fairly recently? Do you know how many Mafia books I've read in like the last?
Okay. I read fairly recently, that we read for the podcast fairly recently.
What was the last Mafia book we read? You're not talking about my favorite one.
I think it might. Maybe.
Unholy Vows?
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
God. Yes. So good. The other one with the guy in New York.
Carter Reed?
Yeah. Him too. Like those books are the epitome of what I love about a real dark romance novel. Like Lights Out, Butcher and Blackbird, like they're so fun, but you don't have as like dark elements. Where like Unholy Vows and Carter Reed, like they're dark, but at the end of the day, like they're just doing whatever they can to protect their girl and take care of her, and like, that's just was just super hot.
Yeah.
You know? And Lauren Biel, like, I don't think I've read anything of hers that I haven't loved.
I think you've one-upped me on her. I think you've read one that I haven't, Across State Lines, right? You read that?
Yeah, across state lines. That one was a little much. Oh, no, Captured was by her. That one I didn't care for. But those, was it Captured? Captivated? Captured? I think it's Captured. It's a blue, or no, it's a purple scripty font. So, anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed my foray into the dark romance space. I definitely have to take breaks depending on the content and like go back to my light and fluffy stuff to get a palate cleanser. But for the most part, I have thoroughly enjoyed the journey.
I'm glad. That's exciting. So have I. I've enjoyed it, looking through your lens, seeing what captivates you. Our debates are my favorite.
What pisses me off?
Yeah, same.
What pisses you off?
It's been fun. Thanks for doing
It
this
has
with
been
me.
fun. Heck yeah, thanks for asking me.
Any last remaining words? I mean, I know you're closing us out, but do you feel like we touched everything on your update? And okay, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. Let me backtrack. Are there any books in dark romance that you are just salivating to get to that we haven't got to yet?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or do you think that we've hit a lot of the cliche ones?
I'm curious about Does It Hurt? But it's H.D. Carlton, and like I know, and like I haven't loved anything else I've read by her. The other one I'm curious about is Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger, or however she says her name, their name.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably.
I'm fascinated that you only have like a couple because I have like a bajillion.
Well, but I'm not in the dark romance space like you are. And I've stopped looking for things because there's just so much out there and I'm very overwhelmed by how much I want to read.
Yeah.
And then I just don't read anything. So like off the top of my head, like those are the two that have been floating around on Book Talk. And I'm like, ooh. And Under Your Scars, which is actually in our buddy jar, but I'm also terrified to read it because I know it's not a happy ever after. And I just don't know if my little heart can handle it.
Wait, like the Duet, is there not a happy ever after?
I don't think so. I don't think you get a happy ever after in that Duet at all.
If there's no HEA, it's not a romance.
That's a good point.
Romance is clearly defined as having an HEH. It may take HEA. It may take like 4 books, but
I don't think so. And I feel like that could be another topic. Like, is it somewhere that like you have to have a happy ever after to be considered a romance?
Yay?
Okay, listeners, thank you so much for hanging out with us as we chat about my journey into dark romance. I would love to know what dark romance novel got you started on your dark romance journey, and maybe which one you would recommend to get started with. Let us know. Tag us on Instagram at Bones of the Story, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
and Jenn,
signing off
from Bones of the Story.